pretty. It's Marie here for another Q&A Tuesday. So today we are going to switch things up a little bit because I'm going to answer 2 Q's with 1 A. So you can kind of think of it a little bit like a threesome. Kind of. Then we're going to get even more funky and I'm going to throw a gentleman into the mix. Oh yes, I did. You're going to love him. So before we go there, I just want to share a little chick moment because I have my favorite mala beads on right now and I just think they're so beautiful and I think you should know about this company. It's called Tiny Devotions and you can go check them out at lovetinydevotions.com. Check them out, I think you're going to love it. Okay, so let's get into it. First question is from Maurice, and Maurice writes, what keeps you motivated and so enthusiastic about your business? I'm just starting my own and it's a struggle to keep myself in the right frame of mind 24/7. Very popular question. We're gonna press pause on that and I'm gonna go to question number 2. This one's from Lydia, and Lydia writes, I'm a certified virtual assistant and I really wanna make progress with my business this up and coming year. It's like I'm starting up all the time, but never really launching it, as if something is stopping me. Interesting. What steps do you recommend in order to break down that mental barrier? I know it's something that worries a lot of people like me, changing from a daytime job in order to become an entrepreneur. I know I can and will do it, but there's always a but. I think these questions are amazing because what both these young ladies are talking about is something all of us deal with, and it's called resistance. I want to introduce you to one of my favorite books on the planet. Now, if you've been listening to me for a little while, you probably have heard this before, but it bears repeating. The War of Art by a guy named Steven Pressfield. I have been reading this book over and over and over and over again for years. I have like my little stickies in there. It's really worn. It's even turning yellow. This book's incredible, but wait, there's more, because guess what? Steven just came out with a brand new book and it's called Do the Work. This is actually the cover, but Do the Work is on the back. I devoured this book in such a hot minute. Why? Because it talks about the answer to your cues. Every one of us deals with resistance. It's that thing that happens, all those thoughts that come up in our mind anytime we want to start something creative. I mean, whether you want to begin your own business, you want to lose some weight, you want to run a marathon, you want to create a piece of art, all of us have that same head junk that comes up that can stop us dead in our tracks if we don't know how to deal with resistance. And this thing, my friends, is the Bible. But hang on, because this is where it gets even cooler. I have admired Steven Pressfield for so freaking long, I can't tell you. He's been like one of my creative idols, and we are so lucky right now because we are gonna interview him and he's gonna tell us about resistance and how to deal with it. Here we go. Okay, so we are here right now with one of my favorite authors of all time, Steven Pressfield. He has made such a huge difference in my life. Steven, thank you for taking the time today to chat with us.
Thanks, Marie. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so I kind of set up, there's another piece of this video that's all beautifully produced, and basically I have a lot of people that write me in and ask like, oh God, I have these ideas, but I feel like something's stopping me, and you've written so eloquently about how to handle resistance in this gem of a book that we'll let them read it because everyone needs to have a copy of this. So we'll let you talk about resistance in the book, but I want to ask you some personal questions because you're one of my idols, so this is awesome. Do you have a lot of books and ideas for screenplays and maybe even more books come to you simultaneously, and then do you ever struggle with which one to start working on first?
I do, but although more often I don't have enough ideas. I'm really happy if I just have one that's in the future, and a lot of times I'll be working on a book for 2 years and I have no clue what's going to come next, if anything ever will. I'm praying that it will. I mean, at the moment, I actually have 2 or 3 backed up. But my mantra, as I know you know from reading War of Art, is when you have more than one idea, take the one that scares you the most. That's the one that you should do.
I love that. I actually, again, I've read War of Art and I have it all earmarked and stuff, but just hearing you say that again reminds me, because that was actually my next question was how, if you do have multiple ideas, what's your methodology for choosing which one to go with? And so has that kind of guided your career when it comes to creativity?
Definitely, because I think, there's sort of a law of resistance in my experience that the more important a project is to your soul's evolution, the more resistance you'll feel to it. So, if it's not important to you, you won't feel any resistance at all.
Right.
But if it's something that's like really life-changing and you have to do it, you'll feel, or at least I will, massive terror, resistance, self-doubt, all of those things, right?
Yeah.
So I always say it's kind of like a needle, that always will point true north. Resistance will always point to what you should be doing. Whatever you're most afraid of is the one to do. That's been my experience. And I also say in the War of Art, remember that show on Bravo, Inside the Actors Studio with James Lipton?
Yes.
But I always ask actors, how do you know which role you want to take? And they almost always answer the role that was going to stretch me the most. Because, if they've already done it, if they've done another role, why repeat yourself? If you've been an action hero in one movie, why do it again? You've already done it, right? Why not try to be a sensitive, neurasthenic artist or something like that?
It's true. And I think for me, in my own experience, like as you're talking, my mind was calling up. Yeah, my biggest breakthroughs in my business have been when I've been willing to step into that place like, oh my God, this makes me want to throw up, but I have to do it. It's those are the projects that are usually...
Always a good sign. Throwing up is always a good sign.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because for me, my body reacts like it reacts very physically, where like if I'm really pursuing something, I can start calling up headaches, I can call up all kinds of things that it's almost like giving birth to this. All these toxins have to come out. Yeah. So another question. Do you give yourself shipping deadlines? Like if you're working on this book, are you like, you know what, I'm going to give myself 3 months to get X done? Or do you just kind of give yourself creative license at this time to give it as long as it takes?
I mean, it may be different for me, Marie, because writing novels takes so long. It could be 2 years, it could be 3 years, and a lot of times other projects will come along. Maybe, you'll get a different job to do a screenplay or something that, you could do in 3 months or something. And so I don't impose deadlines, except with short projects. Right. Then I do. I say, I want to get this done by Christmas, or I want to get this done, I'll have a vacation slated. I'm going to get this done. I don't want to think about it, when I get out of here. But for long projects, I think they have a life of their own, and you have to respect and not put too much pressure on yourself. At least that's my feeling.
Yeah.
So I try to cut myself some slack in areas like that.
Awesome. I think I only have, so this is the question actually that I was so excited to ask you, and it comes from page 95 in Do the Work, which again, everybody on the planet I feel like has to have a copy of Do the Work. So you wrote this at the end, and it says, the level of maturity, professionalism, and personal involvement demanded by the tectonic overthrows happening today in positioning, branding, and marketing, not to mention pure art and soul authenticity. And then you kind of alluded to, but this is a whole nother topic for a whole nother book. And while it very well may be on your plate, I was so fascinated because I feel the same way inside. So if you have anything to say about that topic or what you wrote there, I'd love to hear it.
That we're sort of living in ADD times, aren't we? With so many distractions and so many temptations, so many ways that it looks like you can make a fast buck or make a fast killing or make a fast creative killing or that it really does take a tremendous level of maturity and self-discipline, motivation, self-validation to sort of keep in your own world, keep focusing on what's important to you and guiding yourself by your own star rather than getting pulled off. It's like there are so many, to use kind of a space analogy, it's like there are so many planets out there zigging and zagging in front of us, each with their own gravitational field to pull us this way or pull us that way. It's really a challenge to just follow your own gyroscope.
Right.
And very hard to do, because a lot of times, and I'm sure you get this a lot, is success or attention will come to you for something that maybe is not your best stuff.
Right.
Or maybe not pulling you in the direction that you really should be going. And it can be hard to sort of follow your muse and follow your highest kind of long range calling, where you're going to be over a career. I don't know if that answers. If Marie, if you have any more specific areas, it's a really interesting topic.
Yeah, no, and I also, first of all, that was a beautiful answer, and I agree 100%. It's actually, I think it's shifting also the way that when it comes to books at least, in the past couple years, I've had one book under my belt, and it's about 168 pages, and I'm super proud of it. And I'm thinking like the next book's in me, and it's starting to, bubble up, and I want it to be short, it's like I love, one of the things I love about Do the Work is I read this puppy in a couple of hours. I mean, I did not stop, just went right through, and I felt like I got such a full meal without having, like 300 pages in front of me. So I think the way that we're consuming creativity, like you said, our attention spans are getting shorter. So it's an interesting time for us as creators and also as consumers to think about how we want to say what we have to say. Yeah,
my first hit was a guy named Bart Holtz. This was years ago. He was like 88 years old at the time. And I was asking him, how long should this book be? I'm working on a book. How long should it be? And he said, how long is a letter? And what he meant by that is there can be short letters and there can be long letters.
Right.
And each project will sort of dictate the length that it wants to be. So if you're kind of feeling that this wants to be short, the next thing, then it should be short.
Right.
It could be read on your iPhone. It could be read on an iPad. It can be read, in an airport lounge. You just rip through it while you're like that. I mean, I don't think a novel can be like that, but the kind of book that's sort of an inspirational book or a kick in the ass book.
Yeah.
Or, a sort of it's longer than, say, a long Vanity Fair article, but it's shorter than a book. So that you really, like you say, you feel like you get a full meal. You get a real steak and potatoes meal, but you're not doing it for, like reading War and Peace or anything. So.
Yeah, no, I like it. I love it. And I have to just thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us for a little bit. And
thank you for having me. It's, your book about how to, how to attract any man or make, what is the title of the book?
So
how to make men.
Yeah, you'll like this. So it's called, the title is Make Every Man Want You, How to Be So Irresistible You'll Barely Keep From Dating Yourself. And
I love it.
It's a Trojan Horse. It's actually not that much about men or dating. It's a very spiritual book about my take on the access point for me of irresistibility is being very present in the moment and kind of letting go all of the crap that goes on up here and fully engaging with your life, like no brakes on, just going for it. And so I actually got a little Facebook comment today from a woman who said, I was so angry at your title. I thought it was bullshit. I thought it was crap. It's so superficial. And she said that I read it and it totally changed my life. So I kind of like to do things
that's a great one.
Yeah,
I can tell you practice what you preach. And of course,
yeah, I mean, I for whatever reason, I like to create in what I call Trojan horses, where it sounds like it's one thing and it's probably a little controversial or it's a little something, and then it gives you something else once you get on the inside. I just think it's fun to surprise people that way. And plus it's, if I would have wrote a book like, here's how to live in the present moment, I mean, I don't think I would have done very well, frankly.
Right. A great title helps a lot.
Yeah. So anyway, well, enjoy the rest of your afternoon in LA, and thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for creating this incredible guide for all of us who want to make stuff in the world. And for everybody watching, you guys, I can't recommend this enough. You have to get a copy of this book. And I don't know, Stephen, if the gang told you, but we have a bulk order coming because I have a high-level group of women that I mentor in a program called the Rich, Happy, and Hot Adventure Mastermind. And, I need them to have this. This needs to travel with them all the time.
Great.
So I'm psyched.
Thank you. Okay, and thanks for having me, Marie. It's a real pleasure to meet you. I
Awesome.
did not know you before this, and it's great to know you now.
Great to know you. Thank you so much, Stephen.
Okay, let's do it again sometime.
Cool.
Okay, thanks, Marie.
Bye.
Bye.